there, it's Monica Brooks, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host of Becoming a Better You. As if you didn't need another acronym in your life, I have one for my podcast, more so for me to keep track of some of my real life lessons that I've learned. And what I'm going to share is things that happen during my day that cause me to pause, and I feel like there's a valuable lesson in this. And for today, we're going to be talking about personality versus character and what happened to me that made me appreciate this lesson. So if you're ready, let's get started. Welcome to the Becoming a Better You podcast. My name is Monica Brooks, and I'm a self-improvement enthusiast who is eager to share tips and strategies to help you become the best version of yourself. As an inspirational speaker who transitioned from a corporate career, I'm here to guide you on your journey towards enhancing your overall human experience. If you're ready to take the first step towards becoming the best version of yourself, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. I recently experienced a real life learning, and I want to talk about it because it was a good example of personality versus character. When you think of the term personality, what comes to mind? Even for you. What would people say that your personality is like? Some may say that maybe my personality traits are that I'm really nice, I'm sweet, I can be funny sometimes, I'm helpful, and I'm usually pretty cheerful. But what if I asked you about your character? What is your character really like? Do you know the difference between the two? I want to share with you this story that happened that is a really good example of this. It happened when someone thought they were on mute, and unfortunately, they were not. But before I do that, I want to share with you something I've been watching on TV. Now, I am not a reality TV junkie at all, but some of my friends have been watching Love is Blind on Netflix. And so I decided to go ahead and watch the most recent episode. And I was fully invested in these people. I think it's a great example of personality versus character. And if you're not familiar with the show, I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts. But basically what it is, it's almost like going on a blind date, but you never really get to see the person. So you're simply seeing if you connect with somebody simply based on their personality. So with anything that when we first meet someone, we have that best foot forward, even during an interview. You see the personality, they're funny, they're sweet, they're kind, all of these things. But deep down is their character, which usually ends up showing up when they meet in real life and they have to work through really hard things. So you really get to see their personality as well as their characteristics. I first learned about personality and character when I was certified with Franklin Covey to teach the 7 habits of highly effective people. And I'm going to talk more about that later and share with you a visual that can help you better understand personality versus character. But on to my story. I recently had to make a phone call to delay a service that we were having done on our house. I usually don't wait till the last minute, but they really only gave me a day notice. So I ended up calling the day of to delay the service. The woman that answered the phone, I wouldn't say she was super friendly, but she was definitely direct. She challenged me just a bit regarding delaying my service, saying what issues it would cause if I did so. But I told her it was for personal reasons I needed to cancel. And for me, that personal reason was it just wasn't in our budget right now to have it done, so I wanted to push it out a few months. So because the cancellation was the day of, she needed to make a phone call to the tech to cancel my service for the day. And here's where the story turns a little bit. She thought she put me on mute, or maybe even hold. I don't know which one. But I heard the whole conversation. At first, I was a little intrigued just because oh, this is fun. I get to just listen to how she cancels my appointment. But then she called me a smarty pants to the person that she was talking to. And if you know me, you know I'm not a smarty pants. I am really a nice person, and I wouldn't have given her any attitude at all. It was just simply delaying the service that we were having done. She also said to the tech that I better not call back and complain when X, Y, and Z happens. And at this point, I am totally invested in this conversation. And I was getting so eager for her to come back to the phone to realize that I wasn't on mute or hold. But When I heard her end the conversation, I heard her come back to the phone, and then I was disconnected. I was like, oh man, I wanted this opportunity to talk to her and tell her that I wasn't on mute. So I called back again, hoping she'd pick up the phone, but it went to voicemail. I did not give up. I called back one more time, and I got another representative. And I said, hey, does this person work for your company? I wanted to make sure I remembered her name correctly. And he's like, yeah, she works at this location. I was like, I was just on the phone with her and I explained what happened. And he said, you probably want to talk to a manager. And I was like, fine. I'm not one to say, let me talk to your manager. But I was like, you know what? He suggested it and I'm totally fine with that because he probably does need to know what happened. So then I talked to the manager and I explained what had happened. And do you know what he said? He said, I have worked with this person for 23 years and I've never seen that side of her. And I was like, boom, there it is. What you've been seeing is her personality, not her character, because your character is what shows up when no one is looking. I didn't explain that to him because I actually thought about it after I got off the phone call. And he said he was going to give her feedback on all of this, but it was just the fact that he had never seen that side of her. And I was like, I'm not surprised. So the question now is, who are you when no one is looking? Who are you when you get upset and rattled? The picture I want to talk to you about that I used in my presentations from Franklin Covey was a picture of a tree. And the top half was the tree, and then you had the ground, and then you have the roots underneath the ground. And the top half represented your personality. It's what everybody can see. And the roots is your character. And that is where the real growth happens. If you aren't well rooted in who you are, what happens when a storm comes? You're going to simply fall over. And I wouldn't say that the interaction I had with this person was like a storm, but it definitely tested her a little bit to remain professional at all times. It was evident that she didn't like my response. Another great time to analyze your character is with relationships, whether that's a friendship or your partner. How well are you grounded when a little wind blows? Do you stay sturdy or do you begin to fold over because you can't take it? I once had a friend who ended our friendship abruptly because it was evident that our friendship was very surface level. It was the tree. It was everything you could see. We were having fun. We were doing things together, going on trips, going out to eat, hanging out with each other all the time. But then something happened that caused a huge disagreement. And it was evident that our friendship could not weather the storm because we were solely focused on everything happening on top and not really working on our friendship being well rooted. And so our friendship suddenly ended. So think about character. What do you look for in other people as far as their character? But more importantly, what do you have to offer when it comes to your character? What are some of your personality traits that other people see as well? Personality traits aren't bad. They're just different from who you really are as a person. Write them out. Reflect on your answers. Because I'm confident that reflecting on your personality and your character will help you become a better you. That's it for today.